Okay, after we've learned about the farmer and the cooperative making this coffee possible, let's see what this coffee actually gives us itself and why it's so different from other Indonesian coffees. So let's look at the country the coffee comes from, Indonesia, right? So Indonesia, you have, as in many coffee countries, very low altitudes and very high altitudes. And most Indonesian coffee, like Starbucks gets a lot of Indonesian coffee because it grows at almost sea level and the coffee grows fast. And therefore you can have a high turnover, right? And then you have another issue in Indonesia. It is that it's very humid in Indonesia. So Indonesians and Indonesian coffee producers have actually developed a methodology called wet hulling that is made for wet climates. If you leave the coffee in a wet climate out to dry, it will just get moldy. So wet hulling is a drying method that goes faster to get it to a safer spot where microbia cannot develop, but we lose almost all the flavor. So if you've ever had a traditional Indonesian coffee, it's earthy, it's muddy, it has a lot of body through the wet hulling, and it doesn't taste like much. People even describe it like hay-like, earthy, sometimes spicy, and that's it. It's just high throughput coffee originally. But as I write here, the coffee has been changed. What you see here, it says processing double fermentation. And this is Wahyu using all of his knowledge that he has acquired through these courses to process this coffee so that these flavors are pronounced. Let's talk about fermentation in general. So what is a fermentation? If you've ever done a sourdough, you know how you have flour, and once you add your starter, it becomes bubbly and fermenty. And this is just yeast bacteria working the flour and processing the flour, and their remains are creating the sour flavor. And it's almost the same with coffee. Once it's in an anaerobic environment, the microorganisms, the bacteria, can do their job and ferment the coffee. This enhances certain funkier flavor notes, and here it makes the tropical fruit flavor notes stand out. And this is exactly why this is fermented. Now, what does double fermentation mean? It simply means you have two fermentation steps. What this coffee has gone through is a 3-day dry fermentation, so we don't submerge it. It means basically that the coffee cherry dries out a bit on the coffee seed, but not long enough to get moldy. And then it gets submerged in a barrel and underwater and undergoes 4 more days of fermentation. First fermentation starts, the flavor gets concentrated, and then once that is done, we submerge it for an extended fermentation of 4 days to get all of these flavors even stronger and going. And this is what Wahyu has done, and this yields him, in the end, a higher score in coffee than it would have as a regular Indonesian coffee. Also discuss where it's grown. So you see here that this coffee is grown at 1,600 to 1,800 meters. What does that do? At sea level, there's a lot of air. The plant grows fast. At higher levels above sea level, the air is thin. So the coffee needs more time to mature. This gives the coffee time to develop flavors, to pick up flavors from the surrounding plants. And yes, coffee picks up flavors from the surrounding plants. Now imagine Indonesia, tropical country, tropical fruits, right? So this coffee has actually had time to pick up flavors from the tropical fruits. So this is the hype, right? Slower maturation, more time picking up flavors. But now, if we would have wet hulled it, it would have still gotten the problems and the earthy notes that Indonesian coffee has. And now we are talking about score. So you have here an 88.25 points on a 0 to 100 coffee scale coffee. 80 plus counts as specialty coffee, and of course everything we serve is specialty coffee. Farmers are investing so much into processing because the flavors get enhanced, and they get the points up. More points pay them a better price in the end when they sell their coffee to a direct importer. And I will get to the pricing as promised later. But this processing is necessary to get these points. And this is why Wahyu, with his processing knowledge, is helping all the farmers in his cooperative. The focus is really on these fruity notes compared to the acidity here. It should be more balanced towards a sweeter experience, but still has these citrusy notes that make this coffee kind of lemonade-y, refreshing. But it's not as acidic and bright as our Kenya that we're releasing in the future. How to taste this coffee and how to drink it, we will talk about in the brewing and tasting section. But think about already, if you're drinking it, how you're laying in the sun and sipping some of this coffee, maybe even as an ice brew. And as I mentioned before, Wahyu really wants to stand out and compare to the Ethiopian coffees of the world. Hence he had to get away from this earthiness of Indonesian coffee and pronounce more fruity, more floral flavors. And I think he has done the job through his expert processing here.